Welcome back to Reviews by Hunter. That's me, I'm Hunter, and today I have a review for The Long Walk. I got a chance to watch this last night, and I gotta say, a movie about walking was not on my bingo card for a movie that was gonna be one of my most favorite films of the year, hands down. I'm talking top two, not even top three. This is a top two film for me personally this year. Was blown away by this movie directed by Francis Lawrence, who apparently also worked on a lot of the Hunger Games movies as well. This was a story by Stephen King. Screenplay was by J.T. Moliner. It is rated R, comes in at about 1 hour 48 minutes, just a little bit under 2 hours. With a cast that for the most part I wasn't super familiar with other than Mark Hamill. I'll talk about this amazing cast later on, but what is The Long Walk? Well, The Long Walk is a movie about 50 participants who all have volunteered to join this competition called The Long Walk. They live in this timeline that we're not 100% sure where it's set in, maybe some kind of alternate timeline or maybe in the future, where apparently America has been ravaged by a war. I believe they said it was a civil war that ravaged the nation. This is like some of the most difficult financial times for people, and the morale is just at an all-time low. So the powers that be in this universe have decided in order to fix this, they're going to put on this competition that they televise to people called The Long Walk. What these participants are walking for is essentially a chance at as much money and riches as they can imagine. They'll also be granted a wish, one single wish at the very end of this competition. And so there is no finish line. You simply walk until you no longer can walk. If you fall below a certain speed, you get 3 warnings, and if you're not able to get back up to that speed by the 3rd warning, you are eliminated. Again, even the way I just described it, you might be like, Hunter, that doesn't sound very interesting. Give this movie a chance. I'm gonna try not to talk about a ton of spoilers in this review because I really think you guys should experience this film for yourself, but this is a horror sci-fi film that just rated R that blew me away, man. This film really gets right into it. Like, we literally have like text basically explaining just a quick little, this is what's going on in the world. This is the competition that people everywhere around the nation volunteer to be in, and it introduces us to our main character, who's named Ray Garrity, played by Cooper Hoffman. And God, like, it just gets right into it. Mark Hamill is the main antagonist. He plays the Major. There was a lot of people I wasn't familiar with in this film, but they did such a great job. Although the standout for me was David Johnson, who plays Peter McVeers. I thought I recognized him. He's also an actor who played a role in Alien Romulus, and he was phenomenal in this film as well. I do not want to skip over this part when I say, like, give David Johnson all of the awards. Just give him all of them, because he acted his ass off. Dude, this movie made me feel feelings I haven't felt in a minute, bro. This movie was emotional, and they have this just lingering theme of death and how people confront death, how people grieve, how people, I think, choose, if they can, how they want to go out. And it's very just, like, raw and depressing and real. I don't, like, get super emotional at films very often. I think I've only cried for maybe 2 movies in my life, one being The Wild Robot. I got a little teary-eyed at some of the scenes in this movie, man. The pacing of the film is great. It's consistent. And just the whole concept of this long walk competition was fascinating because really the main rules that we know about the competition, again, you can't drop below a certain speed, and there is no finish line. If you are not first, you will be unalived. You will not have made it to the end of this competition. And it's really interesting because along the way you have these characters who kind of start forming friendships with one another and start kind of forming bonds with one another as they go through like this traumatizing experience together. But as they like bond with each other, like from the first death of the movie, it set the freaking tone. And the reactions of the characters on screen was that of it was like the same reaction that I was having this movie does a really good job of that. Like, whatever the characters on screen were feeling, it felt like that's how I felt, man. Um, Holy crap, I loved the relationship specifically between Peter McVeers and Ray Garrity. They just have this friendship that continues to grow and grow and grow over the course of miles and miles and miles of walking. And if you're asking yourself, well, Hunter, what about if they need to go to the bathroom? What if there's someone tries to fight each other? What if someone gets a cramp? All of these questions are answered in this movie. And what I also loved is that they don't shy away from how they answer the questions. I will say this is a slight spoiler, but even the question of how do they go to the bathroom, movie answers it. They just drop their pants and go. And they have to do that within their allotted rest time, which is 10 seconds, or they're going to get their 3 warnings and be eliminated. But they don't like imply what's going on. They straight up show people having to just take a dump right on the road, right there. There's a lot of brutal moments in this film, all of which the way that people are executed isn't super different from one another. Like, from the first death to the second to the third to the fourth, they're very similar. They have these guys following them, I think on like tanks, these soldiers, monitoring them at all times. So they have guns pointed at them this entire film, which really adds to the tension, I think, of the film. And I loved, another thing that I really loved is like, it didn't shy away. It was very like, nope, this is how it is. It's very gritty and in your face, and I think that works. It's very dialogue heavy, and I don't mean that as a negative. Honestly, the dialogue is some of the best I've seen, listened to all year. It just feels very real. You have these boys, it just reminded me of like that bond that maybe you have with like your old football team, or like your old, the boys that you used to hang out with back in high school or college or whatever, like as they grow and develop together. It's interesting that throughout the movie, like, none of the characters necessarily seem to hate each other. They're all there because they feel like they have to, like this is their one ticket out of the film. I just loved this movie from start to finish. Man, I want to talk spoilers so bad, but like I said, I kind of wanted to give a non-spoiler review of the film first. Yeah, dude, when I left the theater, I was just like contemplating life. Like, I was just, honestly, it made me want to like call up some of my best buddies and tell them that I just like appreciate them, appreciate their friendship, appreciate like the value of their life. Like, I was thinking about how much I value life after this movie. The only other movie that had me contemplating life 40 minutes post watching it was The Life of Chuck. I'm going to continue to promote that movie because it's also phenomenal. But like, I went into the film and I thought, oh, this is a cool concept, but then they freaking executed it to perfection. Absolute perfection. Somehow, and again, that is the whole movie. They are walking. But while they are walking, all of the different injuries and obstacles that you see these characters go through, and like, it was hard kind of like getting attached to a certain character, and then, oh, but only one of them is going to survive. We know this. That is the competition. There is only one winner, one survivor. We're going to lose 49 other characters, obviously some off screen, but some were super, super impactful and made me feel, again, all of the feelings. Mostly sadness. I was very sad watching this film, man. And even just seeing some of the people like start to go crazy, start to lose their minds, start to lose their sanity. It is miles and miles. They walk for like over the course of a few days, and without rest, without a proper sleep. And again, I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, The Long Walk, I feel like, just did everything right. It really did. The dialogue is great. The cast, everybody, like, these guys that I really am not super familiar with, just put on a clinic on how to evoke emotion out of somebody and how to make me really feel for their characters. And I also got to say, none of these characters felt like they were just a one-dimensional, like, oh, this is the mean guy, that's the in-shape guy, that's the smart guy. Like, they all have real personalities. It felt like these are people that I would know in real life. And There were some characters I wanted to reach to the screen and slap across the face. There were other characters I wanted to reach to the screen and just give them a big hug. And again, I mean, the MVP of the film for me by far is David Johnson's character, Peter McVries, and you'll see why. All I'll say though is that this dude is the ultimate hype man, and I think he is a big part of the reason that this film works. I think with a cast that gave anything less than this cast did, this movie would have become more of a parody. It would have become more silly. And I'm so glad that's not what it turned into. I've seen only a couple comments and things of people that have seen this. I have seen some people say that this was one of their favorite movies of the year. I'm in such agreement. And guess what? I believe I've only given one 10 out of 10 rating this year to Sinners. For horror films or just films in general, earning my second 10 out of 10 rating on this channel, for me, my personal opinion, The Long Walk. I have no critiques. I just don't. I loved everything about it. I love how we get right into it. And by the end, like I said, man, I was just... This was an experience that I felt like... Not maybe necessarily that like I was there with them, but I pictured myself what it would be like to go through this competition with some of my closest friends and having to slowly watch them all get picked off one by one inevitably. I will be making a spoiler included review soon. This video is mainly just to tell you, don't walk, run to go see The Long Walk. Or should I say, don't run, walk to go see The Long Walk. As you can see, I'm not super used to the non-spoiler type reviews. That's really all I have to say about it without giving too much away. One last thing I will say is that I felt a lot of moments in this film where I was holding my breath, just waiting to see what happens. But also, like, you know what's going to happen inevitably, but it's the things that lead up to that and how each character handles the competition, particularly when maybe they know they're not going to win. That was so interesting to me, man. And God, like I said, I just want to like hug all the people that I know and love, because this movie makes you, at least for me, value like the beauty of life itself. But that's all I got for you guys. The Long Walk, that's my spoiler-free review. If you like what you saw, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, maybe even leave a comment.